got your first job or you've got an internship that you want to turn into a graduate job and you're thinking, how can I crush my first proper job? How can I make such a brilliant impression on my colleagues, on my co-workers, on my boss, that they're forced to say, oh my God, you're amazing, we have to keep you. What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English here to help you get hired. Today I want to share 7 tips about how to crush your first job. And this is based on the conversation that I've been having with one of my clients who's just completed an internship at an investment bank in Canary Wharf. And one of the first questions that she asked me before she embarked on the internship was, how can I absolutely crush this internship, crush my competition so that they give me a return offer? And I want to share these tips with you. Let's go. Tip number 1, be early. Now, one of the oldest things that comes up with jobs, and something that I have found in hiring people and having teams and managers, is just being early is really half the battle. If you're there, you're early, you're ready to go, the rest is pretty much going to fall into place. I tend to say to people to be 30 minutes early. Why 30 minutes early? Just in case. I had a mentor once who first started mentoring me when I was in my mid-20s. He'd run a management consulting firm in the United States. I turned up once and I was late, and he said, when you're late, you disrespect me, you disrespect yourself, leave earlier. Get the earlier train. He said, if you're on time, you're late, so just be early. 30 minutes should be fine. Tip number 2, stay as late as you need to. Now, I know there are gonna be people out there and say, well, I'm only paid to do this many hours. Listen, that's absolutely fine. If you wanna be a 9-to-5 guy, don't worry about it. But I find that people who are gonna be early and stay late, not all the time, of course, you're gonna wanna read the room. So if there's a boss who's constantly asking you to stay late and you're not getting fair compensation, after a month to 2 months, 3 months, and you think, look, you're really not appreciating who I am. When you find the right person, they will really appreciate somebody who goes the extra mile. And we're only talking about the early days. Just say your boss is struggling with something, or your co-workers just, they're on a big project and you're like, listen, is there anything, do you want me to stay a bit later? Do you want me to help you out? Somebody as well who doesn't leave until the job is done. These are really defining characteristics for somebody who's going to make a good leader in the future, because they're just really disciplined and they're very conscientious. They're thinking, well, look, this has got to get done for tomorrow. I know that I don't have the time during the normal day. I'm just going to stay a little bit later and get this finished. Tip number 3, be as helpful as you can. So particularly with young people, I tend to notice they'll just kind of stand around and not really do anything, or maybe they'll, not all the time, but they'll be looking at their phone and not really helping out. I always say to people, just ask, just say, look, is there anything that I can do to help you? Do you need anything done? And it could be anything. It could be cleaning up. It could be going to get some photocopies. It could be getting everybody coffee. And there are going to be those people who kind of say, well, but I'm a graduate, I'm a this, I'm a that. Leave your ego at the door. Just have the beginner's mindset and be as helpful as you can be. If you're the person who's always helpful, you're the person who's always early, and you're the person who's willing to stay late, the chances are you are already ahead of 95% of the competition, because people just don't have that mindset. They'll just think, well, I'm only staying for as long as I'm getting paid. Now, technically that is true. If your time frame is a day or a week or a month, but if your time frame is to be the CEO of the company in 10 years, then if you front load now and become known as somebody who's diligent, conscientious, a hard worker and super helpful, it's gonna open a lot of doors to you in the future. Tip number 4, be as curious as you can and ask questions. Now, a really important thing, particularly if this is your first job, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, oh, how can I do this better? Why do we do things this way? Could you explain this to me? I don't understand. I don't think that this is a good idea. Now, again, you're gonna have to read the room. Some people are not very receptive to that, but I was on a client call yesterday for a different business with an owner in the United States and one of his managers. I was running through a new program that we're releasing with them, and I said, oh, does that make sense? And the manager was like, yeah, I don't really understand what you mean. And I explained it to her twice, right? And actually, when I reflected, I hadn't explained it properly. And I said, look, it's kind of like this. I explained it, you know, in a different mode of learning so that it was more visual. She said, oh yeah, no, I get it now. And she jumped off the call. I stayed on the call with the owner of this US firm. And he went, I love the fact that she will ask questions. She will tell me when she doesn't understand something. And she will actually say, don't think that that's a good idea. And not just destructive criticism, she'll actively go, well, I think that we should do it like this. If you're somebody that's trying to contribute to the business and make it better, and you find an audience that is receptive to that, then you're gonna find that you are an incredibly valuable resource, particularly somebody who's eager, who's keen to learn, who's gonna do a little bit of work at home. Say, for example, you're watching this and you've just got your first job as a digital marketing assistant, right? How could you crush it at the job? Know what new technologies are being used, know what advertising campaigns are going on that are really successful in your industry, keep up to date with general industry news. These are the things that are going to make you a valuable resource, because you then become the guy that everybody comes to for the new tech. Tip number 5, go to the networking events, be sociable, but don't get shit-faced. So during this client's time of the internship, she gave me a call. It's about 6:30 in the evening, and we've got a good relationship, and this is not a normal thing. So I picked up the phone and said, how are you doing? She was like, well, I'm standing outside, you know, this office in Canary Wharf, and everybody's gone out for drinks, and I'm not really sure what to do. I was like, hang up the phone, go to the drinks, do not get drunk. Now, the most important thing about this is that as a business owner, I know that a lot of deals get done at dinner, over drinks, after hours, because people just let their hair down. They become a little bit more relaxed. They're a little bit more willing to talk about the problems that they're having and the struggles that they're going through. If you are present at that point in time and you say, oh, Steve, that's definitely something that I could help you with, he'd be like, really? Oh, that'd be amazing. Come and see me tomorrow and I'll show you what we need to do. But that would be great. It's actually quite a big project, so it's going to be going on for the next 6 months. I'd love to have you, right? Now, just don't get shit-faced. So sometimes people go out, particularly if you're young, you're like, yeah, I want to go and have a drink and you know, I'm on a company credit card and all that kind of stuff. Big mistake, all right? One thing you don't want to be is the clown of the office drunk, just the office idiot. That's not really a good look to have. Listen, if you want to go out and get smashed with your mates, that's fine. Just don't do it at work. It's just not a good look. Tip number 6, be consistent and show up every day. Now, consistency for me is a superpower. You don't have to be the most talented person, the best looking person, the person with the most skill. If you're consistent, you will crush all of your competition, which is just basically, I turn up early, I do my best work, I stay late if I need to, I go home Monday. Tuesday, I turn up early, I do my best work, I stay late if I need to, I go home Tuesday. If you do that for days, for weeks, for months, very often people can kind of compare their insides to people's outside, like, oh my God, she's so much prettier than me, or he's so much more talented, or she's so much faster than me, or blah, 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 right? But the point is that you train for skills, but you hire for ability, right? And a lot of ability is just turning up, doing the work, asking the questions, having some common sense, and having the ability to learn. The rest is all teachable. If you can do that, you can pretty much be taught how to do anything. So just being consistent and turning up every day is so important, but it is really time consuming and it can be very draining, particularly if this isn't your third job, which leads me to the last and probably the most important tip if you really want to nail this job. Tip number 7, rest when not at work. Now, I don't mean don't have a life. I don't mean, you know, sit at home and sleep all the time. Though you probably find that you'll do that in the first couple of weeks because it's really emotionally draining. What I mean is don't engage in drama. Anybody who's consuming a lot of your time and really not feeding into your goal, cheering you on, making you a better person, maybe it's time to just put them to the side, because a new job is so draining. You're learning loads of stuff, you're meeting loads of people, there's stress, there's all these new things, you come home, you're fucking exhausted, then you've got to make dinner, and it's just like, oh, you know, my friend's having a difficult time, or people want to go out, or I said that I go here. Just give yourself a break. At least for the first couple of weeks, take the weekends to rest, to recharge, to eat right, to sleep well. You cannot be consistent if you're incredibly drained. And if you like to go out, have a party, do all that kind of stuff, that's fine, but just bear in mind, if you're really tired, that's gonna have a knock-on effect on your consistency. And I don't even mean to the point where you're hungover and you can't turn up to work. So you get back from work Friday, you go out Friday night, you rest a little bit Saturday, you go out Saturday night, you get to Sunday, you rest Sunday, but you just feel like you've not really rested. You feel drained, you feel grainy and tired and snappy and irritable. And then you get up Monday, boom, before you know it, you're getting sick. You're getting a cold, you're getting a sniffle, you're feeling run down. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then before you know it, you're ill. What you've got to think about is, what do you really want long term? If this is your first proper job and you think this is a place where I want to spend a couple of years, I want to get a decent level of experience, then put the other stuff to the side. Press pause, no one's going to go anywhere. If your mates are really your mates, then they'll just be like, and you're like, listen, bruv, I've just got to concentrate on this. I'm just not going to be about for a little bit, but we'll hook up. Or why don't you just come over and we watch a film or play some video games, just do something a bit more. Actually, I'm not drinking at the minute because it just really doesn't agree with me. But you can't operate at maximum 100% efficiency at work and do that all across the board. You're going to find that super hard. Guys, I hope that if you enjoyed this video, if you want more videos like this, drop me a comment down below. Please, if you could like this video, it really helps us to get found. And if you can subscribe to the channel, I'd be so grateful. Bye.